Well, it's been quite a while since I've come in and inspected the hive. I knew I set it up to just kind of like hang out, and it's about time that I swing on in and take a look at things. We are at the end of July right now. I don't know. I feel like it's been like, I know it's been more than a month since I inspected the hive. Just leaving them alone and everything. We've had plenty of rain, and so and the population's been growing. Recently, we've been having lots of lots of hot weather, and so there's been lots of bearding and everything on the outside. It doesn't concern me, but I can clearly see that the population is, at maximum capacity probably. So what I'm really going through here is looking forward to see, they should have stores. They should have plenty of honey in here, because we've had rain, even though we've had all this heat. So the flowers have been able to produce nectar. I'm just looking to see if anything's off. I don't suspect anything's off. Since we're getting towards August, another thing that I'm looking for is, the reason I'm really looking for those, to see what they're storing so far, is because in, later in August, I might start to introduce, some feed, just to help them pack away some things before the fall. All right, so let's get in. Let's see. So pretty much empty comb. So that means that they still have room to. They still have room to keep expanding. But I do see all the way over here that they're storing honey on this last comb. So that's good. Seeing lots of drones pop out and say hello. Actually, I'm gonna store this one over here. Lots of drones, which is expected. So again, I'm not seeing any brood, of course. This is the outer edge of the colony, and so they're packing away a little bit of honey at the top. I am starting to see some brood here, so I'm just also looking for eggs. But I do see some that are trying to hatch out right there. So today's their birthday, I guess, if you don't include the larval stage. So from here on out, I'm just going to be sliding and leaving them here at the end. So relatively light comb, light in color and also light in weight. So I'm hoping I get into a little bit of heft there. There's some honey stored on both sides. So this one, you can see how they're really thickening up the comb where the honey's being stored. They're making it wider. But no, let's see if we got any, no newly laid eggs or anything. That's okay. Okay, so again, a little honey at the top, a little more nectar, mostly empty. So there's still room for them to grow. I'm always looking to make sure that there is some room for them to expand if they needed to discourage the likelihood of swarming. Here's where we're starting to get into a big patch of brood. So, it's a nice little patch of brood and everything in there, all worker brood. That's a good sign. We're starting to get into the brood nest itself. And we'll just see. Okay, a little less so on this one. Again, last time I had been in here, I put in some empty bars, so they hadn't fully finished these combs out. Gotta move my smoker, man. It is pluming away. I don't need to keep breathing that. Okay. All right, there's a full comb. Nice little rift in here where the two sides came together. We got drone brood over here and worker brood on this side, where those two planes met. It's covered in bees. This one's a little bit wavy, but it's okay as far as its waviness because it is sandwiched between two parallel combs. We got a nice little hole at the top here where they're just choosing to use that for ventilation purposes. Okay, we got a lot more to go through. Okay. Pop, 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 pop. Lots of bodies. So I am noticing that they're pretty light right now. You know, bees can starve in the middle of the summer. They're not at the end of their stores, but they certainly don't have a ton packed away. They must be using the honey that they're getting, the nectar that they're getting to raise their young. So there's still, you know, plenty of population that's coming in. Let's see. This one feels like it's attached somewhere else. Let's see. Oh, you know what it's attached to? It's attached to this this cork that I had increased the entrances earlier in the season. So I'll get those out of the way. There's a few of those little corks at the bottom. So I'm not seeing any swarm cells. I didn't expect to see any, but you know, also the fact that I'm not seeing them is good. They're not looking to swarm. So here I'm seeing some pollen. Ooh, that's a soft comb. Almost snapped it off. I was holding it the wrong way. Had a little weight to it. Okay, so we got patches of brood, another little hole at the top where they're using that for ventilation. Haven't seen the queen, but yeah, I see eggs in this one, so she's in there. Okay, pop. Chugging along. It's a nice healthy colony. Okay. Some drone and worker brood. So I'm not noticing that they're aggressive, but I am noticing now that their population is a little increased. They're a little more defensive. There's a couple workers that have flown at my face. But their population is much larger than it was earlier on in the year. I've been leaving them alone. This one's got a good Pretty dense pattern here of brood. So there's just a lot of bodies in here, so they can be a little more defensive if they needed to, rather than in the beginning of the year. Okay, lots of pollen packed in here. Ooh, a big honkin'. The comb's really thick there. I imagine they had honey stored in there, but now have consumed it. A couple. I've got probably 5 or 6 entrances opened up on this right now. Just to give them plenty of options for ventilating their own hive. Okay, so another partially finished comb here. And this is wall-to-wall bees. Almost. It's just good to see a colony like this. This one's got some drone brood and worker brood side by side. That one had a little heft to it. Lots of bees here. Looks like they're expanding the comb, making this comb bigger. Okay, we're seeing something interesting here. Remember, we worry about like midsummer starvation. These last 3 bars were actually leftover bars from the winter of just candy. And what I notice is that they have tapped into those. So that's been a food source that's been keeping them going clearly, besides what's out in nature. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I would assume that if they're tapping into that, then there were probably times when they needed to tap into that, and there wasn't necessarily nectar for them to harvest from all the flowers. So I'm going to show you what those empty frames look like. I mean, we've got an empty bar here with a little bit of comb that they're starting on. And then we've got, ooh, these are really propolized in there. So again, this was completely filled with just candy. I'm gonna knock these bees off so that I can take this out and put blank bars in. Tons of propolis down here. Look at that. This is the volume of propolis that they had. But this was all filled with a hard candy. Okay, so I'm gonna go run and go get 2 spare bars. I didn't really think that I'd have to add them, but I do want to fill this space. Remember, if we don't completely cover this with bars, they'll start building honeycomb up in the roof. There we go, some empty bars. So. Now what I'm gonna do is just shift everything down. Actually thinking about it, I'm gonna put these empty bars on this side. So what I'm doing is I'm taking that comb, which was a fully established comb, and I'm gonna put it, make sure there's a clean edge for it. I'm gonna put it here, right at the very end, so that this bar that's empty is in between two parallel combs. You know what? Because this one's empty, I mean this one's a full comb and this one's a full comb, I'm gonna put one of my empty bars here. So I'm choosing to use a little bit of smoke to get the bees to go down rather than crushing a bunch of them. If you've taken my class, you've heard me say that, you know, because of the rate of bees that they're producing every day, there's just so many bees, new bees that are being born every day, that you don't need to worry about crushing any one particular bee except for the queen. Still, however, this hive is near my house, and I don't want to create a situation where the bees imprint on a human who's nearby and want to attack them, especially now that the colony is bigger and that they have the potential to use more bodies for defense. Okay, so now I've got a big chunk of bars here that I could probably move all at once. There we go. I'm gonna put this empty bar here. I'm gonna slide these three, and now time to get these in. So what you'll notice is that I've kept all of the honeycombs in order this whole time. The only changes that I'm making is that I'm adding a few empty bars where there is room for them. If I had inspected this hive and I had seen that they were running out of room, and what I'd do is I'd start to pull off a few bars that might be empty towards the end, and I'd put them in the middle in the brood nest to give the queen room to expand the colony. There we go. Checked it for level earlier, it's still level, hasn't settled much. Yeah, you know, these I'll refill at another date, but for now they can be stored in the top of the hive, under the roof, and I think we're there. All right, so things are looking good all together. Thanks for watching.